Hey, I'm Steve Krenz for Guitar Gathering. Thank you so much for being here with us. We are continuing on in a series, How Music Works. We've talked about scales, major scales, how they're formed, half steps and whole steps. We've talked about keys and key signature, how in the key of F we have a B flat, and how in the key of D we've got an F sharp and a C sharp. So we've learned about that. We've talked about intervals, major thirds and minor sevenths and things like that. We've talked about harmonic intervals, diatonic intervals, those within a scale. We've talked about harmonic intervals, augmented fifths and diminished fifths and minor sixths and minor seconds and perfect octaves and things like that. So we've talked about those. If you're fuzzy about that, then go ahead and look back onto the some of the earlier sessions that we've done. Today, we're talking about triads, so we're moving to the next step in our learning. Next time, we're going to talk about seventh chords and beyond, but today, we're talking about triads. So let's talk about triads. What a triad is a meeting of three notes. Scales, we were dealing with just one note at a time. Intervals, we were dealing with two notes at a time. Now we have kicked it up a notch, and now we're dealing with three notes at a time, and those are called triads, okay? Three notes at a time. Now, how this works in music, chords are made from triads. Triads is the most basic form of a chord. When you're sitting and reading a piece of music and it has a C chord up there, it's not just this. That's a great C chord. But it's what that shape is. You know, it's not just that shape. We learn the shapes, but we don't know what the notes are inside of the shape that makes it work. So that's what we're going to talk about. That's what triads are. It's a combination of certain tones. In a C major scale, it's a combination of the first, the third, and the fifth to make a major chord, a 1, 3, and a 5. So a major triad uses the first, the third, and the fifth step in the scale. So if you looked at your first page on your PDF, we have a PDF that goes along with our session. You can get the download in the link. It's in the YouTube description down below. And we're going to be dealing with the triad section right now. And so if you look at the first page of the triad section there, you see the C major scale. I just wrote it out several times there. And we're going to talk about the triad is built off of the first, the third, and the fifth. Now, there are 4 different triads types that we are going to that are really important for you to learn. There are a few others, but the 4 main ones are the ones we're going to cover tonight: major, minor, augmented, and diminished. Okay, so let's first talk about major. Major is you just take the major scale and you deal with a 1, the 3, and the 5 out of the major scale. So a C major triad would be a C, and then you go up to the third step in a C major scale, the E, then you'd go up to the fifth step. So you take out those 3 tones and you have a C major triad. What's a C major triad? C, E, and G. Well, how does that get into our playing? I thought a C chord was this. Yes, it is. C, E, G, C, and E. So it's just a bunch of different C's and E's and G's. You'll have in a chord, in a particular voicing, you may have 2 or 3 different octaves, things like that, but it's all just those 3 colors, C, E, and G. What if I did an F chord? An F major chord. Well, that would be taking out of the F major scale. F is the 1, and then G, and then A would be the 3, and B flat, and C would be the 5th. So an F major triad would be an F, A, and a C. Okay, so that's an F major triad. Any way that I can combine F, A, and a C, I have an F major triad. How many different ways can I think to do this? Okay, any way that you can combine, doesn't even have to be one out of a book. You can just think up a way that combines an F, an A, and a C. You've got yourself an F major triad. Let's do a couple more. If I was in the key of G, okay, the key of G, what does the key of G have in it? It has an F sharp. If you remember back from our scales and our key signatures, the key of G has an F sharp in it. So the G major scale would be G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. So for a G major triad, I take out the first, third, and the fifth, which in the key of G would be the G, A, B, be the third, G, B, D, G, B, D. Any way that I can combine a G and a B and a D, and I've got a G major triad. So that's our first triad that we're going to learn, is major, a G major triad. So you go to any key, B flat, D flat, F sharp, you can go to hard ones, you can go to easy ones, and you pick out the first step of the scale, the third step of the scale, the fifth step of the scale, and you, my friend, have a major triad. So anytime you are reading a piece of music, it has a C, just the letter name, C, G, B flat, F sharp, nothing else, you're dealing with a major triad. Okay, but there are a few other different types of chords, so let's talk about that. The next one, the most common that you're going to run across, is a minor triad. So what is this minor triad? Well, that's if I take the first, the one, I take the third, but I don't leave it unaltered. I alter it a little bit. I lower that third 1/2 step. So I take the one, the flat third now, and the 5, and that is the formula for a minor triad. So a major triad is just 1, 3, 5, taken out of the major scale. A minor triad is 1, flat 3, 5. So if I was in C, it would be a C, E flat, G. Hear how that sounds different from a major triad. There's major, positive, happy sounding. Minor, richer, kind of darker sounding. Sad, some folks think of it to think of it as a sad sound. Okay, there's the minor, there's the major. Okay, so a C minor triad, we said, was C, E flat, and G. All right, so let's go to, let's do a couple more. What if I was in the key of F again? Okay, so we have to still remember what's in the key of F, which is at B flat. So if I had an F minor triad, what do you think that might be? Well, it would be an F. The third would be an A, but they don't want the third, they want a flatted third. A flat, and then the fifth, the C. An F minor triad is an F, an A flat, and a C. There you go, F, A flat, and C. What if we went to the key of G and we did the same thing? So if I'm in the key of G, which we have an F sharp in, and I pulled out the first, the flatted third, and the fifth, G, flatted third, B flat, and D. Wait a minute, let's check ourselves. In my chord book, it says that this is a G minor. So let's see if all the notes are right. There's a G, there's a D, there's a G, there's a B flat, there's another D, another G. A whole big old grouping of a bunch of G's, a B flat, and a bunch of D's. G, B flat, and D. Doesn't matter what voicing you use. It doesn't matter the combination, how many octaves you use of this, or 1 octave, or 2 octaves, or both octaves. Doesn't matter. High, low, doesn't matter. As long as you only have 3 colors, 1, flat 3, and 5. That's a minor triad. All right, so let's do another one. Let's do another one. Come on. Let's say I'm in the key of D. Key of D. Okay, and I have, in the key of D, what do we have in it? We have an F sharp and a C sharp. Okay, so the D, that's easy. The 1, that's a D. Okay, D, E, F sharp. Okay, if we're trying to find a D minor triad, we got to go up to the third, which is an F sharp. But I don't want the third. I want the flatted third. An F natural, and then the fifth, G, A, would be an A. So we have a D, F, and an A, a D minor. Now, occasionally, you're going to run into things that get a little more complicated to figure out. So let's think about that for a second. So let's say I'm in the key of Oh, let's go something hard. G flat. G flat. Okay, we're going to be in the key of G flat. Oh my goodness, we got 6 flats. 6 flats. A G flat scale would be G flat, A flat, B flat, C, D flat, or excuse me, C flat, D flat, E flat, F, and G flat. The only thing that's not flatted in a G flat scale is that F. Okay, so if I wanted a G flat minor triad, well, a G flat major triad would be 1, the G flat, the 3rd, the B flat, and the 5th, the D flat. But that's not what I want. What I want is a G flat minor, so I've got to go G flat, B flat. Well, I need to flat an already flatted note. How does that work? How can you flat an already flatted note? Well, we have something called a double flat. So occasionally, it's rare, you're not going to see it much. In theory land, they exist, and on pretty much in jazz, you're never going to see them. If you're in a symphony playing violin, you're probably going to occasionally see a double flat or a double sharp. But for most part, in just regular playing, you're rarely ever going to see these. But a B double flat would be there. Well, a B double flat, isn't that just an A? Yes, it is an A. I know it's an A. You know it's an A. Everybody knows it's an A. But in theory land, in chord spelling land, in triad land, in key signatures and major scales and things like that, the name of the note is important because it's telling you its function. So a G flat minor triad would not be G flat A and D flat. That doesn't make any sense. That would be some sort of augmented second, and then a 5th. It doesn't make sense. It would be, because the name tells its function. So I would have to be some kind of a B flat. I don't care how much I have to screw up that B flat or B in order to get it to the right place that I need it to be. But that's how that works. So occasionally, as you're solving these, you're going to run into double flats and double sharps. So don't let that freak you out when you see that. And you're going to run into our old friends, C flat and E sharp and F flat and things like that too. So don't freak out. We're in theory land. The name and then the alteration, however that needs to be. Okay, so that's major chords. That's minor chords. All right, so let's do a couple more. I can explain it, and it takes just a couple of minutes. It's actually you learning it. That's the whole idea. All right, so let's practice it. We'll do two more. If I'm in the key of A, okay, and I have 3 sharps in the key of A, I need an A minor triad. Think it out. What would an A minor triad be? I'll give you 10 seconds. I'll play a little thinking music. Okay, an A minor triad would be an A, that's the 1. The flat 3, C sharp would be the 3. The flat 3 would be a C, natural, and then the 5th, which would be an E. An A minor triad. Okay. Well, what's one more? Let's switch keys. Let's go to a D flat. Could we do that? Let's do a D flat major triad 1, 3, 5 in the key of D flat. You ready? Figure it out. I'll give you some figuring out music. All right, there you go. In the key of D flat, we need a D flat major triad. A D flat major triad is D flat. The 3rd is F. The 5th is A flat. There you go. All right, so we've learned major. We've learned minor now. Excuse me. We need to learn another type. The next type we're going to learn is augmented. Augmented. We're making these intervals bigger. Okay, making these intervals wider. Okay, we're going to talk about augmented triads. So major was 1, 3, 5. Minor was 1, flat 3, 5. Augmented is 1, 3, making bigger, sharp 5. 5, but it's sharped. 1, 3, sharp 5. 1, 3, sharp 5. A very different kind of sound to a chord. that would be an augmented. You can always hear how an augmented. You would hear augmented chords sometimes in 50s music when they would get ready to start. Okay, so an augmented chord. Well, that's 1, 3, and sharp 5. Okay, so if I was in C, it'd be a C, an E, and a G, but it'd be sharped. So a C, E, and a G sharp. So let's go. If I was in the key of G, G. Okay, key of G. What would be a G augmented triad, do you think? Well, it'd be G, then A, B. That would be good, G, A, B. So I can, there's the D, but I don't want the D, I want the D sharp. Isn't that an E flat? No, 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 don't say E flat. That's wrong, not in theory land. That would be some sort of a minor sixth. We don't want that. We want an augmented fifth, a D sharp. Okay, so you got to say it like that. Okay, G, B, and D sharp. Okay, let's go to another one. Let's key of B flat. Key of B flat. What would it be? A B flat augmented. B flat augmented. B flat scale is B flat, C, D, E flat, F, G, A, B flat. So a B flat augmented triad would be B flat, and then D, and then F sharp. Interesting thing about an augmented triad, it's one of the, it repeats. It's kind of like a musical repeating number. C, E, G sharp. If I move everything up a major third, same shape, a C, E, and a G sharp. What if I move everything up another major third? It's a musical repeating number, okay? So all of the intervals within it are the same interval. The distance from a C to an E is a major third. Distance from an E to a G sharp is a major third. The distance from a G sharp, otherwise known as an A flat, to a C is still a major third. They're all identical, okay? All right, so that's augmented. Let's do a hard one now. Let's do, what if I wanted a, I don't know, maybe a B augmented. B augmented, okay? What would be a B augmented? Well, the key of B has 5 sharps. What are those sharps in order? Do you remember all of our theory guys? F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, and A sharp. So B scale is B, C sharp, D sharp, E, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B. So 5 of the notes, 5 of the 7 notes of the scale are sharp. So a B augmented triad would be B, D sharp, and then F. No, there's not sharp. That's F sharp, but we need to make it go one more up. So it'd be B natural, D sharp, and F double sharp. There you go. An F double sharp. Oh, it's scary. It's enough to scare any self-respecting guitar player. All right, so there you go. We've got major, we've got minor, we've got augmented. There's one more. There's one more that we need to learn of the triads, and it's going to be diminished. Just like augmented, where the intervals got bigger, diminished, the intervals get smaller, okay? So a diminished triad, its formula is 1, flat 3, flat 5. And 2 things are adjusted in a diminished triad. 1, flat 3, flat 5. Very unstable sounding triad. So majors sound strong, sound final. You don't want to leave them. Okay. Minors sound strong, and they can be solid and stable as well. Augmented chords, they kind of sound like they want to be resolved. They're a little unstable sounding, but a diminished chord is the most unstable of them all. Diminished chords are great for sticking to other things because you don't end on a diminished chord. You don't end on a diminished chord. It just wants to go somewhere else. You end on majors. There you you go. Or you can even end on a minor. Okay, and that works, okay? But it, the diminished chord they're good for connecting other chords, okay? So there's a diminished chord. 1, flat 3, flat 5. All right, so let's practice. Here we go. If I'm in the key of F, ready? Let's solve it. At F, diminished triad. Well, F, that 1 is always easy. We know that one. We need the flatted third. The normal third in the key of F would be an A, F, G, A, but we don't want the normal third, we want the flatted third. And then we have to go up to the 5th, which would be the C, but we don't want the 5th, we want the flatted 5th. So an F, F diminished triad would be an F, A flat, and C flat, otherwise commonly known as a B. F, A flat, C flat. All right, two more. What if I'm in the key of D and I want a D diminished triad? Well, if I'm in the key of D, that would be D. Then the third would be the F sharp, but I need the flatted third. The 5th would be an A, but I need that to be one step down. So I end up with a D, F, and an A flat. That's a diminished triad. So there you go. Diminished, augmented, minor, and major. Now, let me just take you down a little rabbit hole just for a second. Why are there only 4? Why aren't there more? Well, there are a couple other variations, but here's why those are the main 4. Let's look at the intervals that are involved. A 1, 3, 5 in the key of C would be a C, E, and a G. The C to the E, well, that's a major third, okay? The E to the G, that would be what? You always relate it to the bottom note. That would be actually a minor third, a whole step plus a half step. Major third, 2 whole steps. Minor third, whole step and half step. So it's a major third with a minor third stacked on top of it. What if we did a minor triad? Now I've got to C to the E flat, I've got a minor interval on the bottom, and then the E flat to a G, a major interval on top. So do you see, I've got this, I had the larger interval on the bottom, the smaller interval on top, and now I've just flipped them. So that's why minor triad, how that works. What about an augmented triad? Well, that's a C to an E, major third, plus an E to a G sharp. That's another major third. Now I've got a major third and a major third stacked on top of each other. Can you guess what the diminished chord would be? A minor third and a minor third stacked on top of that. C to E flat to G flat. That's a minor third. So you have 2 minor thirds stacked together. So there's only 4 puzzle pieces, and we've put them together in every combination. That's why you end up having those 4 different ones. All right, major, 1, 3, 5. Minor, 1, flat 3, 5. Augmented, 1, 3, sharp 5. Diminished, 1, flat 3, flat 5. All right, there you go. Hey, look over at the second page of our worksheets there for the triads. Okay, so it should say at the top, Triads by Key Worksheet. All right, so here I just take you through a bunch of different keys, and I ask you, what's the major? What's the minor? What's the augmented? What's the diminished? Okay, you got to figure it out. Oh, Steve, this sounds like work. This sounds like math. This I don't want to learn all that stuff. Just show me what to play. I remember I was teaching this guy one time. He was a dentist, and I would go actually to his dentist's office to teach him, and we would have our lessons there. And I remember he was asking me something about some jazz chord progression or whatever, and you can't get very far into anything without actually getting into a nickel's worth of theory. And so I was trying to take him through some of the things that you're going through right now. Major scales and flats and sharps and keys and key signatures and how chords are spelled and things like that. The inner workings of how music works, so you can take away the cloth that hides everything and actually see what's going on, why things work and why they don't. So I'm explaining that to him, and he was like, "No, I don't want to learn that. I don't want to learn that. I don't want to learn that. Just show me how to play this. Just show me how to play. I don't want to learn all that other stuff." And I was kind of exasperated with him, and I said, well, that's kind of like me going into your dentist office next door and saying, hey, okay, show me how to drill a tooth. Yeah, just don't bother with all that other stuff. Just give me the little spinny thing. Just show me how to do that. That's what I want to do. Okay? There's more to it than that. There's a little more to it. You need to know a little bit about what you're doing. And you don't necessarily need to be Bach with knowledge of music theory. You just need a nickel's worth of music theory, and it's amazing how much stuff comes together if you just know a little bit of practical music theory. A lot of resources that are being sold out there are big, thick books filled with lots of formulas, and I don't know why they give them strange sounding names, and the more hundreds of pages they have, the more folks flock to them and buy them. Useless. A bunch of theory that you'll never use in your entire life. I play guitar for a living, and this is the stuff that you need to know. Majors, minors, augmented, diminished, what notes are in a key, that sort of stuff. What scale goes with which, that sort of stuff. That's what you need to know. You don't need to know, some Hungarian Mixolydian minor and how it relates to the whole tone. You don't need that. You just don't need that. And not in average playing. Certainly any kind of playing you're going to run across, you're not going to need that. Okay, so you need real world nuts and bolts music theory. Okay, it doesn't have to be complicated. We've given you the basic building blocks of that. The scales, the keys and key signatures. Yes, it's going to take you some time to memorize those, to put them into different keys and stuff like that. Just write them out. Right? Get a yellow pad, make it into 4 columns: major, minor, augmented, and diminished. Write down the left side of the page, put the key C, you can go on by circle of fifths, which we learned about a couple of weeks ago. C, G, D, A, E. Just write all 12 keys right down the other side. And then you just fill it out. C major, C, E, G, C minor, C, E flat, G, C augmented. Steve, isn't there going to be a million of them? No. It's 12 keys, and you got 4 different variations. You're talking about, 48 different combinations there? That's all there is. But certainly there's a gazillion. No, 48. That's all I got to learn. So once you get those down, you've got them. So but it's going to take you a little bit of effort to get them. You don't get them in 5 minutes, okay? All right. So I've given you a worksheet to do that. This little worksheet here, the Triads by Key Worksheet. Good. Make a copy of it. Make about 5 copies of it. Fill it out each day, and then at the end of 5 days, you'll have it down, okay? All right, so I give you some answers along the way, and that's what that one is. If you flip the page over, you get a Triads worksheet, which this just asks you them in different, not related by keys, just all the in individual ones, okay? Now, a lot of times folks will say, there's all kinds of different keys. Well, there are the major keys, C major, F major, D major. We also talked about, remember a couple of weeks ago, the relative minor. So there's a minor scale and a major scale that share a key. So it's not really a new key, it's just the same key. So in A minor, you'd still be in the key of C. Now, you can think of it as the key A minor, but it's the same thing, okay? Why worry about making huge amounts of scales and keys when it's really only just the 12, okay? Now, if you get into super complex stuff, you can theoretically come up with some different stuff. I'm not dealing with that. This is stuff I do every day and use every day. This is what you need to know, those 12. And actually, of those 12, you really only need to know practically, the 6, up to 3 sharps and 3 flats on either side. Okay, so there you go. That's a little bit of information on triads. The rest is up to you to practice that. Now, how that applies on guitar? Well, it applies to everything. This is a D minor chord. D. What's a D minor? A D, F, and an A. D, A, D, F, and an A. So you got full D minor. How many ways can I combine those 3 notes? And I've got that. Okay, so there you go. A little bit of about triads tonight. And then next time we're going to talk about workout. We're actually going to grab our guitars and start playing some of these things as we're going through. So if you have any questions, just let me know. We've got an email address down in the YouTube description down below, and I'm happy to answer your questions that you may have. Hey, I'm Steve Krenz for Guitar Gathering. Keep up the great work in your own learning, and we will see you next time.